host, Leslie Lugosi. Thanks for listening.
Today's special guest is artist and record label owner ANNA JENSEN.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, cool.
So you have a new record label and you have a compilation coming out.
Yeah, I started the record label Tasty Goody Records in order to put out this project, celebrating Kevn Kinney, the songwriter and lead singer of Driving and Crying. And he's my husband. So it started as a birthday surprise for him during COVID and then turned into this kind of snowball effect situation where now I'm releasing multiple albums and ultimately 100 singles. And I'm doing all the artwork for the project. So I'm doing a painting for every song. One of the ideas behind this is also that it's a charitable project. So we put out 4 so far, and there should be 1, if not 2 more coming as far as physical installments.
Who are some of the featured artists on the compilation?
Well, it ranges from up-and-coming, interesting, younger, and just off, under the radar, off-the-grid type people, like Waiting for UFOs would be an example of kind of the lesser known but interesting, and they have a historical connection with Kevn from this band called the Chowder Shouters back in the late 80s, probably early 90s, and they're friends with Cat Power, Sean Marshall, a lot of Atlanta friend circles. And the latest installment is like more of a hard rock vibe, and there's these kids out of Massachusetts called Color Killer. Some of them are still in high school. And also here in Atlanta, a duo or twin sister act called the Brower Sisters. They did a song that was released as a single. But yeah, then some of the bigger names would be like, for instance, on the second installment, that was more of a country themed batch of material. And it was kicked off by Jamie Johnson, who's a big country star. Just, very singular, iconic voice, and it has Darius Rucker on that album, Elizabeth Cook, and she has been in town promoting her movie. So Alejandro Escovedo was on the first one, and he's, a legend and a legacy artist who doesn't often do things like that. So it was a big deal that he said yes and did an amazing job with his track. He did another Scarlet Butterfly, which is one of my favorites. Another similar type of artist as far as legacy is Reckless Eric. He was on the first one, and Pylon Reenactment Society that you would be familiar with from being in Athens area. And they are just so badass, and just, members of REM, like Peter Buck and Mike Mills. Mike Mills did his own song where he played every instrument.
So you have a painting for each song?
Yeah. And, I've been a full-time artist for quite a few years now, so I've amassed, a catalog of my own work that when appropriate, like when it would fit the song, I'll use a painting that I've already done. So that will give me like a break for a week or two. For a minute there, for like a year or two, I was putting out a song every week or two just to try to get them in a timely manner, because I didn't want this to drag on forever. It's a little bit of an unusual, a unique collection and compilation just in how, I guess, how big it is, but also oftentimes these things are done for people after they've died, and I wanted to do it while Kevn could be here to witness, the acknowledgement and the validation, and because he's one of those people that's, if you know category, like people who know of him just think he hung the moon, and I am one of those people.
Do you have any pieces of art that you'd like to talk about? Any favorites?
One of them is the first 2 singles that I put out were a double. They came out on the same day, but they're both by the founding members of the Violent Femmes. Kevn went to high school with Brian Ritchie, the bass player, and, knew of the band as they were coming up, and Violent Femmes helped Driving and Crying get their start. Anyway, so that it felt fitting that the first releases were from Gordon Gano, the singer, and Brian Ritchie, the bass player. Each did their own song because it was during COVID, so they couldn't get together. So I put Kevn right here. That's like little baby teenage Kevn. And then these are all historically important music venues from Milwaukee. And then there's Gordon Gano. You can see a picture of Gordon Gano in like an old house jacket, kind of like a Hefner. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Very cool. I love that.
Thank you. And then he did his with this group called Boy Dirt Car, which Kevn goes back with the guy in that band called Darren. His name's Darren, And then with Kevin's picture on here, I have him holding, well, I added Elvis because Kevin loves Elvis. You can see him jumping there. There's like little tidbits in the painting that are kind of secrets, what they call Easter eggs, I guess. So I put Kevin's name on the marquee and various little nods to Driving and Crying and stuff like that. But I have Kevin holding a balloon that says Welcome Home in that one because he's from Milwaukee. And then this is the one for Brian Ritchie. So Brian did his with Sam Yanis from the Bodines. And they did the song called Catch the Wind, so I added a Packers kite that's blowing in the wind there. And I used an old postcard from Wisconsin from a park, like a lake, and I put Brian and Sam in this little boat playing their instruments. And then I put Kevin on the shoreline over here holding a balloon that says thank you.
So his lyrics inspire your artwork as well.
Yes, well, definitely for this project, whenever I would make a painting for the song, it was based on the lyrics or some sort of idea or theme from the song. So that was fun. My process as an artist is a lot more subconscious, and I try to just work and let the process unfold, and then a painting will emerge that I couldn't have, planned or predicted, and that oftentimes I'll learn from it later, and, I'll understand, what the meaning is to me. But it's also cool because that can allow for more meanings to be available for other people to interact with it. But sometimes that process can be elusive and it's hard to do it under a timeline. So like I said, I normally would take longer than a week or two to make a painting. Typically it'll take months or even years for me to kind of work on something, and I'll paint over things and just ponder or await being struck by an idea or a solution to a piece, and then it finally will be done. But for these, I couldn't have that luxury of an open-ended timeline. So I would try to have an idea and just make it quickly and not overthink it. And then sometimes if I can't think of an idea, I'll ask Kevin what his thoughts were on that song, like what images come to mind for him, so I could try to honor his vision. Because it's definitely been a weird situation for him to witness these new interpretations of his songs. He's loved every single one of them, and often it brings him to tears, and it's very moving and just means a lot to him, because I think this is a very important endeavor and a really interesting and cool one that is going to be remembered well, and I think it'll be evergreen. It's just exceptional material with already exceptional just starting point for the songs themselves, just as poems. And then to hear them reimagined, it's really been very special. This is one of the covers. So the name of the project is Let's Go Dancing, and each installment starts with a different style version of that song, Let's Go Dancing. And so each volume has a subtitle of a lyric from the song. So this one is called Split a Mountain in Two with a Flake of Snow. So you can see this mountain is broken in half, and there's just a flake of snow there kind of piercing it. For this one, I made it more personal, so it has my grandparents dancing and then my parents.
Well, that's beautiful.
Thank you. And then the origin story of the song Let's Go Dancing involves Kevin overhearing a fight beginning outside of a bar, and the one guy said to the other, like, let's go dancing, M or F or whatever he said. There were some cuss words involved. So in each piece, I have people dancing and also fighting. And so you can see there in like the distance, there's a pair of boxers that are doing that boxing hug. And then I have a set of bears that are doing their bear hug, which is, I think, a similar fighting sort of activity. In each record cover I have, so the first one said the firefly to the hurricane. So there's a firefly in the middle of a hurricane, and then I have like a lion and a tiger fighting, and a reference to an old art history sculpture of these two men wrestling. And then there's the picture of Baby from Let's Go Dancing with Johnny. So yeah, I have some nods to some iconic like dancing stuff. In the third one, I referenced La La Land, so it has the main characters dancing, and Cyndi Lauper is dancing, and Tina Turner and Madonna. And yeah, the next one coming up, I'm just getting started, and I need to finish it quickly because I'm a little behind, but it's going to be a really great installment. Title track will be the big reveal. And then yeah, I think the final one is going to be more melancholy, hopefully more female heavy. I tried to make the project as diverse as possible as far as age and gender and, race and every kind of category.
Do you have a set release date yet?
For the next one, no set specific date, but it should be probably in approximately 3 months.
You had mentioned it's going to benefit some charities.
Yes. So when I first presented this to Kevin and asked him if it would be okay, for me to do a bigger to-do about it, I knew I needed to run it by him, and because he's humble and he doesn't like a lot of attention, but he said he would agree that I could do it if we gave all the proceeds to charities. So I approached some of the artists involved to see, because I knew that some of them have their own charity endeavors already. So Shelley Colvin has been instrumental to the project. She's a singer-songwriter out of Nashville. Mostly lately she's been involved with an organization she founded because of her son and her husband, Jeff, were struck by a tree doing a hike in Nashville. Just a storm kicked up out of nowhere, and it just was totally life-changing to them. And Judge had to undergo a lot of brain rehab, and so she started this foundation to help kids who have suffered brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. It's called Out of the Woods Foundation. So we definitely wanted to give to that and also spread awareness for all of these because, as you and your listeners know already, but music as a job is not very lucrative, and record sales don't really bring in that much money. So in addition to whatever money we can end up giving, just telling people about it will be hopefully helpful. So the other one is Alejandro Escovedo has a foundation or an organization that helps music industry people who are struggling with mental health or addiction issues. It's called the SIMS Foundation, SIMS. And another one is our friend Tom Gray, who's no longer with us. He was a great guy, really special human being, and some people might know him from bands like The Brains or Delta Moon. And he actually wrote, the song that Cyndi Lauper had a big hit with. So I asked him what organizations he would request, and he said he had been giving to one called FarmLink. So that partners farmers with food banks. So it helps address food waste, but also food insecurity. So if, whatever the farmers are just getting rid of, they would be compensated for that, but it would also help feed hungry people. So that's really cool. Let's see. And then one more. Oh, Ike Stubblefield. So there's a lot of loss as we get to these ages that we're at, but Ike Stubblefield did his final recording for this project with Underground Umbrella with Peter Stroud, who's in Sheryl Crow's band, and he had the drummer Fred from that band, and also Robert Kearns, who's a good friend of ours, and he did a song as well. But I played on this Underground Umbrella instrumental track, which is just incredible. It's one of my favorite songs, and that was on the fourth record, which is the rock and roll one. Ike's affiliated organization is called How Big Is Your Dream, and that is youth empowerment related, and that's based in Atlanta. Those four. But then on the second record, since recording a song for this, Jesse Malin then suffered a spinal stroke that he's been recovering from valiantly. It's been really inspiring to watch how positive and hardworking he is towards this recovery, and he's just a really special spirit of a person, and we wanted to also give to his Sweet Relief Fund.
Where can people find your records? Where can they order them?
They are available at Merch Mountain website on the Driving and Crying page. They're also available on the Tasty Goody Records website directly, and they're a little more affordable on the Tasty Goody Records page, and that's spelled TASTYGOODY Records. But on the Merch Mountain, if you get a signed print of the cover art, and then if you get a CD from Merch Mountain, it's signed as well. So that's the bonus incentive from buying from Merch Mountain. But if you just want the bang for the buck option, they're just $25 at Tasty Goody Records. You can probably get them at some local record stores, and we would love for them to be carried at more record stores. So if people are interested, it would be wonderful if people could request it at their local store.
Will there be any live shows, any live performances to promote it?
There definitely will be. We had one here in Atlanta, so I had an art show and maybe close to 60 paintings from the project on view. And we had a happening where Puddle's Pity Party, who's a clown singer, he was touring with Weird Al Yankovic over this past year, and he's extremely talented and just wonderful. And then Abe Partridge, who is going to be a hero to many people. I think he's on the rise, but he's a really smart, thoughtful, talented singer-songwriter from Alabama, and he came and joined us. Some local Atlanta acts like Andy Brown performed. The Brower Sisters did a song, and the Slightly Famous Somebodies, who are partly from Atlanta, partly Athens and surrounding areas. Laura Wiggins she's an actress, and Jonathan Spencer, who we have known for ages. They did a song for the project, and then it turned into a whole new band, and they're going to be performing at Athfest coming up, and Kevin will be playing before them. So yeah, some really neat stuff has kind of been born from this, and everyone involved seems to feel really good about it. But I'm planning to do some more of those types of live events, maybe one in Nashville, one in Athens, New Orleans, hopefully New York. There's like a spin-off project from this that I think people should stay tuned to hear more about. That's exciting, that would involve live events. It's kind of a little bit of a secret right now, but there you get like an inside scoop teaser, but it is project adjacent and involving live music, and it's going to be spectacular. I would say just maybe follow all the socials related to the project. So I'm ANNA JENSEN Art on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. I'm promoting this on my page, and then also Tasty Goody Records has a social media presence that you could follow. Driving and Crying, of course. It's spelled DRIVINNCRYIN. Let's see, Kevn Kinney 312 on Instagram. We will probably put out a box set. So people have been buying these as single albums along the way. I'll also put out a box that they can store everything in if they've already got all the records, but then we'll release a box set that has everything all together at the end.
What about his music do you love?
I love the positive, thoughtful, and sometimes, like challenging nature of his lyrics, but how they're presented in a way that's beautiful. And I like that, it makes you think, but it's not like I've used the word didactic. I'm not sure if that's a correct terminology, but I just mean he's not like shoving things down your throat. It's leading by example type of, messages. And it's just really special how he combines. Yeah, he's definitely a poet,
Hello, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing? What you got going on?
What do you love about her paintings?
I like how authentic she is. She's just herself. She does her own thing. She's got a style that you can pick out, which is pretty much anything that I expect out of any kind of true artist. I'm not an artist, so I don't really know how to speak art talk, but I like it. I don't know. I'm a folk singer or songwriter. I don't know. I could talk about songwriters more about what inspires that kind of situation. But yeah, I think any artist that is recognizable, like that is a Partridge. That's an ANNA JENSEN. That's a thing. That's that's when you reach the peak of where you need to live and surf your creativity for the rest of your careers. That's the hardest part of being an artist, is trying to be unique and not chase the trends or the all the usual things that you try to do. So I think she's avoided all those pitfalls, and she's part outsider art, she's part trained artist, she's part avant-garde artist. She's got a lot of different styles. She's got ripped up things. She's got things that are relatively recognizable as far as a Pac-Man and some of her stuff is references her growing and being, but also she's interpreted some of my songs, some of them literally, some of them not, but my favorite art of hers is whatever she's feeling at the time. I don't want her to feel like she has to do something. So this project has been great. I'm glad she's done it, but I'm kind of looking forward to her going back to some of her. She doesn't feel a deadline, and it's it's a graphic art situation and all that. Her her just her productions. She's producing all these records. I'm not doing any of these records. I haven't talked to one manager or one artist at all. This is all she's gone through barriers that I wouldn't even imagine that I would ever want to try to go through, because I know how difficult artists are, managers are, publishers are, and all that stuff. And she's somehow navigated this impossible river of has potential undertows and eddies and all sorts of stuff. So it's amazing what she's done.
Where can people see you playing out live? Do you have any shows coming up?
I have 3 months of touring coming up. They just I don't even know where to start. But yeah, we have 3 months. We're playing everywhere, pretty close to everywhere east of the Mississippi, a little bit west of the Mississippi, not very much. Colorado, Minneapolis. But you can look on driveandcrying.com because I cannot wrap my head around it. But I know this week we're in Macon and Jackson and Birmingham, and then we're heading up towards Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Illinois, St. Louis, and then we're doing another run out to Colorado, and then we're doing another run in September going up to New York and Boston and DC and things like that. So this is probably my last tour that I'm going to do as far as the Driving Crying and the rock and roll touring. So I'm going to just go back to doing weekends and in the regional situations and maybe California. Hi, Coogie.
And hanging out with Coogie.
This is my Coogie.
So you have an acoustic show next month at Rialto Club in Athens with Peter Buck.
Yeah. They're sold out again, but it's something that we like to do to Woodshed to work on some stuff and just kind of have a little. It's kind of like a Rat Pack kind of friendship show, and as long as Peter still wants to do it, I love doing it. It's really an honor to, of course. REM's like one of my favorite bands of all time, so it never does not. It's a little intimidating because they are one of my. It's hard sometimes to separate the friendship from the idolatry, but I do the best I can to not fawn.
What inspires your songwriting?
Things that inspire me are usually just things that I'm working on psychically and emotionally and things like that. I just kind of, I'm here to heal myself. It's from Scar but Smarter to Whisper Tames Lion that Can't Promise You the World to Fly Me Courageous to Build a Fire to The Innocent with the People, Peacemaker. These are all songs that I wrote for me to sing. I listen to Driving and Crying. I listen to myself. I've created my own universe. That's good and that's bad. But I'm really just here making my own records organically, grass-fed organic. And the new record, Crushing Flowers, about Put Down Your Phone, Break Away from the Machine, Mirror, Mirror, a song about my mom. There's some playful things in there. Iggy Monkey's a song in there, just about if Iggy Pop showed up at the Monkey's house. There's some fun rock and roll. You got to have some fun. So there's some song called Looks Like We're Back Again. There's a song called Come On and Dance, which is just a fun song. One of my favorites is Dead End Road, which is just about aspiring to be, keep on moving. Keep on moving along. Looks like it's a dead end road, but somehow if you keep on moving, the pathways can open up for you. There's no such thing as a dead end road. So yeah, I have fun. Music has to be fun. It has to be clearly helpful. I think for me, my favorite stuff. But I also enjoy stuff I have absolutely nothing in common with. I love reggae. I don't know why I love reggae. I don't really identify with it, but it's folk music, and I like folk music, and like I just wrote a little article about folk music, was saying folk music is music that's indigenous to a sound. The Ramones are my favorite folk band. They sound like the New York skyline and the subways that thunder underneath. they're a folk band. They're New York. Pearl Jam, folk band. They sound like Seattle. Certain things like that. There's a traditional folk, which is like acoustic singer-songwriters, but I don't identify that. I call that singer-songwriter. Woody Guthrie sounds like the train tracks. That's why he's a folk artist, because he sounds like a train track. REM's the ultimate folk artist. Do they not sound like train tracks and kudzu and they are, their first 3 records are, very identifiable as a Athens artist. So I consider them one of the greatest folk bands as well, but not because they play acoustic music. Orange Crush is a great folk song. Yeah, I have to go to the post office and mail these CDs to some other writers. So it's been nice chatting with you. We'll now return you to your regular scheduled program. Here's Anna.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of my podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
It's such a nice piece of history and a keepsake, and I think the charities that are involved are great.